Welcome to First Sleep Aid, calm stories to help you unwind, learn, and fall asleep. From true crime to curious facts and thoughtful ideas, always softly spoken. Subscribe now and take a deep breath. You're in good hands.
Okay, let's set the scene. Picture this. It's summer 2014. Somewhere in Europe, a TV screen glows, maybe in a quiet living room, maybe in a noisy pub. Everyone's leaning in.
And then shift your focus across the Atlantic to Brazil. 11 men, stark white and black kits stepping onto that pitch. You can almost feel the weight on their shoulders, can't you? The weight of memory, of expectation.
Absolutely. And this wasn't just any tournament for Germany. For a long time, they'd been, there, always reaching the semis, almost there. But that final step, that unbridled joy, lifting the trophy, it had been elusive.
A long time elusive. Their last World Cup win was way back in 1990. Think about that, a different Germany, literally. Beckenbauer managing, Matthias leading on the pitch.
24 years. Now, unified country, back on the biggest stage, and everyone knew, well, the excuses had kind of run out.
But those near misses, they hang around, don't they? They cast long shadows. You had 2002, Ronaldo just gliding past Kahn in the final.
Yeah.
2006, the heartbreak at home, extra time agony against Italy.
Oof, that one hurt.
2008, Torres in the Euros final. 2010, that brilliant young team, so much promise, but falling short against Spain.
And 2012, Balotelli. Just
Exactly. Every single tournament, it felt like a whisper of maybe this time, but it never quite happened. Each loss, though, was maybe a lesson learned, another scar you try to hide.
So this deep dive, it isn't just about the X's and O's, the tactics on the pitch. It's really about time, isn't it? The time it took for German football to sort of reinvent itself. Time to learn not just how to win, but maybe how to win beautifully with style. And ultimately, it's about finishing a story that really kicked off 14 years earlier.
After a massive collapse, yeah. A collapse that forced them to look inward, tear things down, and rebuild.
Yeah.
Radically.
And that 2014 team, it was such a mix, wasn't it? Young guns and old heads.
Elegant players alongside powerful ones.
Yeah.
Structured but also capable of real freedom.
You had veterans maybe looking at their last chance, alongside these newcomers, full of fire. They weren't chasing destiny, more like redemption.
And they land in Brazil, the cathedral of beautiful football, right? A place obsessed with Jogo Bonito. They weren't there just to be efficient. They wanted to create something special, to show what they'd learned from all those failures.
So that question hung over everything, didn't it? With every pass, every tackle, every roar from the crowd. Was this finally the team to finish the story?
Before we get to Rio, though, we have to go back, way back, to a moment of real reckoning. Euro 2000, Belgium and the Netherlands co-hosting.
Right. Tournaments always start with hope, don't they? But for Germany then, that hope fizzled out fast. It wasn't just disappointment, it felt like a slide into irrelevance.
That squad was aging, definitely. The core had seen glory days, but time catches up. And tactically, they looked, well, stuck. Rigid, predictable, lacking any real spark.
And the group stage just laid it all bare.
It really did. A pretty grim 1-1 draw with Romania to start. Not exactly inspiring.
Then the loss to England, 1-0, which, against England always stings, but it felt almost expected then.
But the real shocker, the absolute low point, was losing 3-0 to Portugal's B team, essentially.
Wow. Portugal's second team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sent shockwaves. Germany finished bottom of the group. Dead last.
No wins.
0 wins. 1 single goal scored across 3 games.
Unbelievable. That's not just going out, that's humiliation. For a football nation built on grit, structure, performing under pressure, it felt like their whole identity had been stolen.
The reaction back home was brutal. Headlines screaming, where's the next Beckenbauer? A team without soul, speed, future. Just savage.
The fan.
Divided. Some were furious, absolutely livid. Others just apathetic. Like maybe the glory days were truly over.
Even Beckenbauer himself weighed in, didn't he? Called it a footballing crisis.
He did. And when Der Kaiser says that, people listen. The DFB, the German FA, they had no choice but to take a long, hard look in the mirror.
They couldn't just wave the flag and talk about past glories this time.
No. The reality was stark. The talent pipeline seemed dry. No obvious young stars were coming through. Tactically, they hadn't evolved. There's just a vacuum. No clear vision for the next generation.
So in those back offices, those committee rooms, they made a huge decision. A fundamental restart.
Not just slogans or quick fixes. This
Right.
had to be systemic, root and branch stuff.
And the first steps were pretty radical, even if the results wouldn't show up immediately.
Exactly. Restructuring youth academies nationwide. New standards, new guidelines.
Making the Bundesliga clubs invest properly in youth development, right? That was key.
Absolutely mandatory. Recognizing the future had to be homegrown. And coaching education got a massive overhaul, too. Modern methods, progressive ideas.
And a cultural shift, too, wasn't there? Moving away from just gut feeling.
Data analytics started coming in. Scouting changed, less focused just on size and speed.
More on technique.
Skill.
Technique, definitely. Tactical understanding, vision, even courage, the willingness to try things, to be creative. They consciously moved away from trying to build robots towards developing more rounded, intelligent footballers.
Right, and everyone knew this wasn't a quick fix. This was long-term. Planting seeds.
But out of that Euro 2000 disaster, a blueprint was forming.
A blueprint not just to win again, but to win differently. To create a new German football identity for the 21st century. Fluid movement, positional understanding, improvisation. That was the goal.
So Euro 2000 was the wake-up call. The diagnosis was pretty blunt. Germany's footballing future looked bleak.
It wasn't just a blip. It exposed deeper issues, lack of creativity, basic skill deficits, a fading identity in a changing game.
And a DFB, usually so stable, so sure of itself, had a choice. Patch things up or major surgery.
They chose surgery. A massive, ambitious reform, one of the biggest in modern sport, really.
Which led to the plan.
The plan, yeah. Worked out with the Bundesliga clubs, the regional associations, a nationwide effort. By 2002, they had directives in place.
Like the mandatory certified youth academies for all the pro clubs in the top two leagues.
Crucial. Proper standards, oversight, not just a label.
And complementing that, those 360-plus regional training centers.
Exactly. To catch talent earlier, everywhere. Give kids access to top coaching, facilities, regardless of where they lived or which club they started at.
And scouting changed focus, too, you said. Less just about physical size.
Totally. The new emphasis was on technique, spatial awareness, tactical understanding, even at a young age, and that mental side, courage to be creative.
Training methods modernized as well. Less pure fitness focus.
Much more holistic, refining technique, fostering creativity, decision-making under pressure, tactical flexibility, ball control, passing range, movement. These became paramount.
And coach education kept pace.
It had to. Rewritten curriculum, tougher licenses, systematic teaching of modern concepts, zone pressing, positional play. Young coaches seen as architects, not just assistants.
And the data side grew too. Analytics.
Hugely. For scouting, training loads, injury prevention, performance metrics, football becoming more scientific. It spread everywhere from youth teams to boardrooms, grassroots, even into immigrant communities.
That cultural shift seems really important too. Embracing diversity.
Massively important. Germany, maybe seen as a bit rigid before, started openly embracing players from diverse backgrounds. Turkish, African, Polish, Arab descent.
Players like Özil, Kadira, Podolski, Boateng.
They went from being on the periphery to being absolutely central to the future. Football became a tool for integration, reflecting modern Germany. Diversity wasn't diluting the identity, it was redefining it.
And this was always seen as a long game, right?
Yeah.
No quick fixes.
Everyone understood that. Patience was key. But behind the scenes, you started hearing whispers, we're building something here, give it time. A new idea of German football was taking root.
So after the Euro 2000 disaster and the start of these reforms, the next big test was Euro 2004. How did that go?
Not much better, actually. Another group stage exit, only 2 goals in 3 games. No spark, no real vision. The press was brutal again, players looked tired. The DFB seemed out of ideas. They needed a new face, someone to build belief.
Enter Jürgen Klinsmann.
Exactly. A legend, obviously, from 90 and 96 wins, but not a career coach, no national team experience. Living in California, talking about performance culture, using American fitness gurus, focusing on mindset, positive pressure.
Which must have raised some eyebrows among the traditionalists.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of skepticism. But Klinsmann had a clear vision. Remake German football. Don't just try to restore it.
And he brought Joachim Löw with him.
His assistant, yeah. Löw was quiet, relatively unknown then, but a real student of attacking football positional play.
And together they pushed this idea of Vollgas Fußball, full-throttle football.
That was the term. Relentless pressing high up, quick transitions, using young, energetic players, embracing risk, rhythm, release. A massive departure from the past.
But there was a problem, wasn't there? The team wasn't quite ready for it.
Not fully. And the 2006 World Cup on home soil was looming large, massive expectation to win. Klinsmann was building for the future, but the present was demanding results.
So changes had to be made. Veterans phased out.
Gradually, yes. And in came the youngsters. Lahm, Schweinsteiger, Podolski, Mertesacker, raw, talented, fearless.
And the training focus shifted. More fitness, speed, mentality.
Definitely. New backroom staff too, sports science, data, nutrition specialists, modern approach. The DFB was uneasy, the press critical, but the public. They started to feel something different. Intent, maybe. Less fear.
The 2005 Confederations Cup gave a glimpse, didn't it?
It did. They lost to Brazil in the semis, but it was thrilling. Open, fast, courageous football. The crowd loved it. Klinsmann had ignited something.
And then the 2006 World Cup itself. Hosts, but maybe lower expectations initially.
Relatively low, yeah. But they surprised everyone. Beat Costa Rica 4-2 in that opener, ground out wins against Poland and Ecuador, then that dramatic penalty shootout win against Argentina in the quarters.
The country just exploded in it. Black, red, gold flags everywhere. Real joy, not just tradition.
It was incredible. The summer merchant, the summer fairy tale, even though they lost that heartbreaker to Italy in the semis, in extra time.
They were still celebrated.
Massively. There was pride, but without the old arrogance. Style, but without cynicism. Even defeat felt different somehow. No shame.
And then Klinsmann stepped down, leaving Löw in charge.
Handing over the reins. Löw's task now was to take that spark Klinsmann ignited and turn it into a sustainable fire, hinting, really, at the beautiful, successful football that was still to come.
So by the late 2000s, those seeds planted after Euro 2000, nurtured by Klinsmann and Löw, they really started to bloom, didn't they?
Absolutely. It wasn't just scattered talent anymore. It was a wave. Players shaped by modern coaching, comfortable with tactical fluidity, confident. They played with a certain ease, you know.
A rhythm, a joy, thinking like artists, not just athletes.
Precisely. And five figures really stood out, defining this new era.
Philip Lahm first, maybe. The quiet captain.
The captain without volume, they called him.
Yeah.
Understated, precise. Never the loudest, but always making the difference. Brilliant fullback, but could step into midfield seamlessly. His intelligence was indispensable. He led through rhythm, not shouting. The quiet anchor in a team finding its voice.
And then Schweinsteiger. More the heart and soul.
The fighter poet. Started as a raw winger, transformed into this midfield engine. He found control, discipline, maybe not the flashiest, but all sweat and grit. If Lahm was the brain, Schweinsteiger was the blood, the passion.
Then you had Özil. The magician.
The magician between lines, yeah.
Mm.
He didn't sprint, he glided, didn't celebrate wildly, just drifted head down, already looking for the next space. His vision was something else. Passes nobody else saw, unlocking tight defenses.
And a symbol too, right? Multicultural Germany, son of Turkish immigrants.
Exactly. From Gelsenkirchen. People questioned his body language sometimes, his quietness, but the ball always listened when he had it.
And Thomas Müller, how do you even describe him?
The chaos artist. That's a good one. He's undefinable, isn't he? Not really a striker, a playmaker, or a winger.
The Raumdeuter, interpreter of space.
Yeah.
They basically invented the term for him.
They had to. He just pops up where defenders least expect him, scores awkward goals, unexpected goals, all grins and jokes, and somehow always scoring. Awkward brilliance equals unpredictability.
And finally, Neuer in goal.
The line that moves. Goalkeepers usually stay on their line, right? Neuer just didn't. Charging 30 yards out to sweep up danger, starting counters with a single throw or pass, saving shots, then joining the build-up. He wasn't just a goalie. He was the first truly modern goalkeeper. Redefined the position.
And alongside them, Kroos, Boateng, Khedira, Hummels. This core group, raised in the shadow of past failures, but not burdened by them.
They weren't afraid of the past. They were too busy building something new.
Which brings us to South Africa, 2010, first World Cup on African soil. Vuvuzelas.
Oh, the Vuvuzelas.
Huh.
And Germany arrived looking completely different. Young, average age, just 24, fearless, unburdened, playing that vertical, fluid, joyful style, Vollgas Fußball in full flow.
That opening game against Australia, 4-0. Just a masterclass.
It really was. One-touch passing, third-man runs, clinical finishing, Özil gliding, Müller scoring, Podolski hammering one in. The message was clear. This Germany was about movement, not mechanics.
They had a little stumble against Serbia, lost 1-0.
A nervy game, yeah. But they responded calmly, beat Ghana 1-0, got through to the knockouts.
And then England in the round of 16. Ghosts of 66, the rivalry.
All that history. And Germany just dismantled them. 4-1. Speed, brilliance, precision. Klose scored, Müller got 2. surgical.
There was the disallowed Lampard goal, of course.
True, but honestly, it probably wouldn't have changed the outcome. Germany were just too good, too fast, too free that day.
And then the quarterfinal against Argentina. Messi, Tevez, Higuain.
Stacked lineup, but Germany demolished them too. 4-0 again. Khedira, Schweinsteiger, Özil just ran the show in midfield. Argentina collapsed under the counterattacks.
Schweinsteiger was immense in that game, wasn't he?
Performance of his life up to that point. Midfield, general, orchestrator, shield. The world was just in awe. The narrative completely flipped. This wasn't your father's Germany. This was modern, multicultural, magnetic. The world kind of fell in love with them.
But then, the semifinal against Spain.
Ah, Spain. A different rhythm entirely. A chessboard match. Spain just dominated possession. Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets. Germany couldn't find space, couldn't breathe.
Puyol's header, that was it.
Yep, ended the dream. The youngest team in the tournament stopped. Not outclassed exactly, just out-controlled.
They won the third-place playoff against Uruguay, that crazy 3-2 game.
Yeah, but nobody really remembers that, do they? What you remember is the promise, the movement, the joy of that 2010 team. Germany hadn't won the cup, but they had well and truly arrived. The question wasn't if they could win it anymore, just when.
Which leads us to Euro 2012 and Poland and Ukraine. Now, Germany were definitely among the clear favorites, right?
Absolutely. Undefeated in qualifying, 4 more years of growth under Löw. The squad looked balanced, deep, all the key players hitting their stride.
And the group stage seemed to confirm that. Portugal beaten 1-0, Netherlands 2-1, Denmark 2-1.
3 wins, 9 points, looked like effortless control. The engine was humming, the country was buzzing. This had to be their year.
Quarterfinal against Greece, 4-2. Comfortable enough.
Not their finest performance, maybe, but decisive, confident, clinical.
And then the semifinal, Italy.
Old rivals, shadows of the past. But Germany were heavy favorites this time. Italy seemed in transition, dealing with scandals, relying on veterans, plus the enigma that was Balotelli.
But the match started off.
Yeah.
Germany seemed nervous.
Cautious, yeah. And Löw's lineup was puzzling. Kroos starting over the more dynamic. Rios felt conservative. Italy, meanwhile, looked sharp. Pirlo dictating. Cassano creating.
And then Balotelli happened.
Twice. First, the header. Powerful. Then that thunderbolt into the top corner. Unstoppable. The shirt off the pose. Iconic.
2-0 down.
Yeah.
And Germany just had no answer. Ozil's late penalty was too little. Too late.
Whistle blows.
Like,
Silence. I'm not shocked like maybe in 2006, but deep disappointment.
Because this loss felt different again, didn't it? 2010 was youth learning. 2006 was magic and heartbreak. But 2012, this was supposed to be theirs.
Exactly. The squad, the momentum, the form, it just slipped away.
Löw knew something had to change, didn't he? Beyond just tactics or selection.
He did. He was gracious in defeat, but you could tell they needed something more. That ruthlessness, that ability to weather the storm and impose their own will, even when things got tough.
So the pain of 2012 lingered. Not failure, maybe, but definitely unfinished business.
That quiet question was smoldering again. How many more times do we have to lose before we learn how to win it all?
So heading into the 2014 World Cup qualifiers, the pressure was definitely on. Time to polish things up.
Right. The team was stable. The core was clear. The mission was simple. Get to Brazil. They were drawn in Group C, Sweden, Austria, Ireland, Kazakhstan, Faroe Islands. Expectations. Pretty much perfection.
And for the most part, they delivered, didn't they? Goals galore. Özil, Müller, Rios linking up beautifully.
Klose kept storing. Kroos controlled the tempo. Neuer was solid as ever. They looked untouchable for long stretches.
But then, October 2012, that Sweden game in Berlin.
Ah, yes. The 4-4 draw. It started so dominantly. Germany were 4-0 up by the 55th minute. Game over, you'd think.
And then
Complete collapse. Sweden scores 4 goals in about half an hour. 4-4. Just unbelievable. It exposed that fragility again, didn't it? How could they let a 4-0 lead slip at home?
raised all those old questions again. Can they handle pressure? Can they kill a game? Do they have that bite when just playing beautifully isn't enough?
Löw publicly kind of shrugged it off, but you have to think privately he knew it was a warning sign. These patterns, near misses, collapses weren't just tactical, they were mental.
But they got the job done in the end. Finished top, unbeaten.
9 wins, that 1 draw, 36 goals scored. Statistically, they looked ready. On paper, one of the best teams heading to Brazil.
Yet that unspoken question lingered, didn't it? What happens when pure dominance isn't enough? What happens in a semifinal that turns into a street fight? Can they win ugly if they have to?
It took more than just goals to get them there, though. It took a whole generation of fans growing up alongside this team, learning to embrace the colors.
Yeah, because German national pride, historically, it's been complex, hasn't it? Flags, anthems, felt heavier than in other countries sometimes.
Definitely. Lingering history. But football slowly changed that. It really started in 2006, the summer immersion. Cities became carnivals, flags came out, but in joy, not defiance. Pride without apology.
And this team helped. Young, diverse, exciting. Post-reunification generation saw a dynamic Germany, not a divided one.
And fans connected with the players differently. Özil with his Turkish roots, Boateng's Ghanaian father, Khedira's Tunisian heritage, Müller's Bavarian charm, Neuer's calmness. They mirrored modern Germany, complicated, colorful, hopeful.
You saw the jerseys everywhere, murals going up. People knew the lineups, the tactics. Hope grew with each tournament. They were supporting people, not just a system.
But something was still missing. Closure. 2006 lost at home, 2008 lost the final, 2010 so close, 2012 one step short again. It was becoming this ritual of hope, beauty, and then collapse.
Yet the fans kept coming back. Why?
Because this team felt different. No arrogance, no sense of entitlement, just clarity, collective purpose. You could feel it.
So by 2014, the faith was there. Fragile, maybe, after all the near misses, but real.
Flags waving, streets ready to fill, and that quiet hum underneath it all. Is this finally the year we don't have to say next time?
And to finally win it, especially in Brazil, they needed more than just tactics, didn't they? Courage, rhythm, understanding football as this universal language.
Absolutely. June 2014, they land in Brazil. Humidity, history, a country that just inhabits the World Cup. Not neutral ground at all. It's football's cathedral. Pelé, Garrincha, Zico, Ronaldo.
In Germany, still seen by many as, efficient, tactical, maybe a bit cold. Outsiders in the land of flair.
But their approach this time was interesting. Campo Bahia, that base camp. Quiet, remote resort on the coast. Not Rio, not Sao Paulo, not a big football city.
Why was that significant?
It wasn't just a retreat, it was a statement. No distractions, no chaos, no noise, just focus. It became this fortress of routine, of unity. Dine together, rest together, train together, privately.
Journalists called it sterile, apparently.
Some did. But inside, that clarity grew. No egos leaking stuff to the press, no internal dramas, just one purpose. Let's finish what we started.
But the pressure was building externally. Brazil, the world watching, the brutal tournament schedule.
South American teams thriving in the conditions, the climate, the loud crowds, and Germany's own past failures hanging over them. Could they handle the weight? Could they adapt? Could they stay disciplined but still play with joy?
Löw knew they couldn't afford a slow start, didn't he?
No waiting to grow into it this time. They had to declare themselves from game one. Take the ball, take the moment, own it. As the sun rose over Campo Bahia, you felt that quiet determination. Let's begin.
Okay, Group G, the group of death. First up, Portugal. And this wasn't just a win, it was a statement, right?
The massive statement. A 4-0 warning shot. They came to dominate. Salvador, June 16th. Portugal had Ronaldo at his peak, a team capable of brilliance, but also, volatility, immediate pressure.
And Germany took control early. Penalty in the 12th minute.
Götze fouled. Müller stepped up. No hesitation, no nerves. 1-0. You could feel the game tilting right away, tactically and psychologically.
Germany pressing high, Kroos and Khedira dictating in midfield.
Özil floating, finding space. Lahm playing in that defensive midfield role here, just knitting everything together, so composed.
Then the second goal, Hummel's header.
32nd minute. Kroos corner, Hummels rises. Power, precision, 2-0, and Portugal started to unravel.
Frustration setting in, late tackles, elbows, and then Pepe snapped.
Completely lost it. Foul on Müller, then that inexplicable headbutt. Straight red card. Portugal down to 10 men. Game effectively over.
Müller rubbed salt in the wound just before halftime.
Yep. 45th minute. Müller again. Right place, right time. 3-0 at the break. Portugal looks stunned. Ronaldo starved of service. Midfield overrun. Defense just shell-shocked.
And Müller completed his hat-trick in the second half.
78th minute. A bit of a scramble, a poacher's goal, but it completed the statement. 4-0.
Müller walks off, 3 goals, match ball, just that crooked smile and a shrug.
Classic Müller. Germany hadn't just won. They controlled, punished, announced themselves. Clinical, unforgiving, a reminder of that clean German engine. The message to the tournament was loud and clear. We're not here to experiment, we're here to finish the job.
But after that dominant start, the next game against Ghana was different, a real fright.
It really was. Not a loss, but it felt like one in some ways. Germany looked mortal, beatable, and Ghana were fearless.
Fortaleza, June 21st. Sweltering heat, humidity. Ghana were fast, athletic, unpredictable. They weren't interested in giving Germany any space.
Right from the start, something felt off for Germany. The rhythm wasn't there, passes weren't sticking. Khedira and Kroos looked rushed. Ghana pressed relentlessly, sprinting into challenges.
Germany eventually got the first goal, though. Götze, 51st minute.
Yeah, but it was scrappy, wasn't it? Müller's cross, Götze kind of kneed it, then it hit his face and rolled in. Lucky, really.
Didn't last long, though. IU equalized almost immediately.
54th minute, powerful header. Neuer couldn't reach it. You could see Germany were rattled.
And then Ghana took the lead. Guyan, 57th minute.
Counterattack. Swift, brutal. German backline caught high. One pass split him open. Guyan charged through. Venomous finish. Germany trailing for the first time in Brazil.
The pace just went through the roof then, didn't it? End-to-end stuff.
It wasn't a match anymore. It was a race. Germany pushing, Löw looking tense, making subs.
And then Klose came on and equalized.
71st minute. Corner, Müller flipped it on, Klose tapped it in. Right place, right time, as always. Not elegant, but historic. His 15th World Cup goal, equaling Ronaldo's record.
And his reaction? Just business.
Grabbed the ball, ran straight back to the center circle. No ego, just get on with it.
The final 20 minutes were just chaos, pure exhaustion on both sides.
Ghana refused to back down. Germany refused to lose. It ended 2-2. But the feeling in the German camp was different. That aura of control had cracked.
Midfield bullied at times, defense exposed, even Neuer looked human.
A point earned, yes, but a big lesson learned. Germany could be hit. They needed steel, not just style, to survive this tournament.
So the final group game against the USA, Klinsmann versus Löw, master versus protege, lots of narrative there.
A huge narrative. Risusi, June 26th. Group still on a knife edge. Germany top, but not mathematically qualified yet. USA fighting for their lives.
But the game itself wasn't exactly high drama, was it? More discipline.
Controlled is the word. Brutal conditions, again, torrential rain, heavy pitch. It was a night for managing the game, not for flair.
Germany dominated possession, but didn't force it.
Probed, tested, but no reckless pressing. The U.S. sat deep, organized, waited for mistakes that, frankly, never really came. Kroos and Schweinsteiger dictated the rhythm. Lahm, back in midfield for this one, directed the flow. No fireworks, just precision.
Until Müller broke the deadlock.
The 55th minute, another corner, Kroos delivery, a ricochet. And there was Müller, lurking silently as always. Shaped his body, perfect strike, low and curling past Tim Howard.
His fourth goal already. Just a nod. Job done.
Exactly. And the rest of the match felt like a quiet negotiation. The U.S. didn't risk chasing an equalizer too hard. Goal difference was crucial for them. Germany didn't need to push for more goals. First place was secure with a 1-0 win.
So both teams got what they needed.
Pretty much. Germany topped the group. USA went through in second thanks to the Ghana-Portugal draw. No controversy, no late heroics, just mutual respect. A subtle handshake between Löw and Klinsmann afterward.
Klinsmann smiling at Löw and no bitterness, just two guys who built something together, now forging their own paths.
It summed it up. Germany through unbeaten. 7 points, 7 goals scored, only 2 conceded. Efficient, calculated, job done in the group stage.
But they knew the games ahead wouldn't allow for that kind of restraint, right? It was survival time now.
Absolutely. The knockout stages are a different beast entirely. Their next opponent would likely make them bleed.
Round of 16, Algeria. On paper, this looked like one Germany should handle comfortably.
That was the expectation, definitely. Porto Alegre, June 30th. Algeria weren't seen as a powerhouse, no Messi or Ronaldo to fear. Germany were confident.
But right from the whistle, it wasn't the game anyone expected.
Not at all. Algeria didn't sit back. They attacked. They pressed high, played with incredible energy, audacity even. Germany looked flat, disjointed.
Löw's formation didn't seem right. Boateng and Mertesacker looked exposed.
Yeah, and Khedira and Schweinsteiger struggled to control the tempo. But the real problem was how Algeria got behind the German defense. Long balls, diagonals, runners exploiting the space.
Which is where Neuer became crucial.
Absolutely pivotal. Germany's best defender that night wasn't an outfield player. Neuer wasn't just staying on his line, he was reading the danger, sprinting out, sliding outside his box. He was a sweeper.
More clearances outside the box than some defenders make all tournament, apparently.
Incredible stats. Rushing out, head high, chest forward, booting the ball clear, intercepting danger before it even became a shot on goal. Fearless. He didn't wait for the problem, he stepped into it.
Germany created chances. Schürrle and Özil tested the keeper, but it stayed 0-0 through 90 minutes.
Deadlock. Extra time loomed. You could feel the dream starting to slip. Algeria showed no signs of tiring either.
Then finally, the breakthrough. 92nd minute, Schürrle.
Müller crossed it, and Schürrle produced that improvised backheel flick. Instinctive, brilliant. The bench just erupted in relief.
But Algeria still didn't break.
No, they kept fighting.
Yeah.
Ozil added a second right at the very end, 120th minute. Not a classic goal, more a release of tension.
And Algeria even scored late themselves to make it 2-1.
Right before the final whistle, Germany survived.
Survival was the only word for it. No dominance, no flow, just grit, mistakes, and Neuer refusing to let their tournament end.
Löw admitted afterwards they'd underestimated Algeria tactically, mentally, emotionally, but survival buys you the right to improve. No more warnings now.
Quarterfinal time. Rio de Janeiro, July 4th. Germany versus France. A classic European heavyweight clash.
Exactly. And the narrative was interesting. France reborn, looking strong. Germany maybe looking shaken after the Algeria scare, accused of being mortal. Stakes were huge, neither side blinking.
And Löw made a key adjustment, Lahm back to fullback.
He did, and it worked instantly. Restored the balance in midfield. Germany started strongly composed, sharp, calculated.
And the goal came early again. Hummels, 13th minute.
Another Kroos set piece, a free kick this time. Hummels just rose above Varane, rose above the doubt. Powerful header off the bar and in. Elegant, decisive. You saw the release in his celebration.
The rest of the match was more of a chess game.
Very much so. France grew into it. Pogba, Benzema, Griezmann probing, flickering. But they couldn't break through that German defense.
Neuer calm again.
Made a good low save from Benzema. Punched crosses clear, no drama. Just dominance in his area. Boateng and Hummels were immense alongside him. Kroos and Schweinsteiger held the midfield firm. Germany didn't go for the counter-attacking frenzy. They just kept a tight grip and never let it loosen.
France pushed late, though. Benzema had that last chance in stoppage time.
94th minute. Turned. Shot. Neuer's arm like a wall. Saved. Whistle blew. Germany 1-0.
Again, not wild celebrations, just hugs, nods.
Relief, professionalism. It wasn't a glorious, free-flowing win, but it was a test of their seriousness. They needed to win ugly sometimes to earn the right to play for the big one.
And now Belo Horizonte awaited Brazil, a date with history.
And nobody, absolutely nobody, knew what kind of history was about to be made.
Okay, the semifinal, July 8th, Belo Horizonte, Germany versus Brazil. This wasn't just a football match. It felt like mythology, didn't it?
Absolutely. Brazil, 5-time champions, the hosts, the heart of football, but they were shaken. No Neymar, no Thiago Silva. The nation was unsure, nervous, but still felt they had to win. For Neymar, for history, for the ghosts of 1950.
The streets must have been unbelievably tense, all that yellow and green, but the smiles tight. More obligation than joy.
You could feel it, a heavyweight. Contrast that with Germany, back in their Campo Bahia sanctuary. Quiet focus, no noise, no arrogance. Löw's message was simple. Play our game, control the middle, no fear.
And the tunnel before kickoff. You could see the difference.
Palpable. Brazil heads down, eyes wide, tense. Germany silent, present, like they'd been there before, somehow.
And the world watching. Millions on TV, bars packed, everyone wondering, spirit versus structure. Could Brazil do it without their stars?
Nobody knew it was coming, not even the players. You saw Brazilian fans praying, not celebrating before kickoff. That tells you something.
And then it started. The stadium erupts. Green and gold everywhere. Brazil, Brazil, hope flickers.
Even without Neymar and Silva, there's still belief. They've overcome adversity before.
But then, 11th minute, Müller scores.
Kroos corner, flicked on. Müller unmarked, side foots it in. A bad start for Brazil, but recoverable. The crowd sings louder, trying to lift them.
Germany smelled something, didn't they? Weakness. Nerves.
They sensed it, and they pressed, passed crisply. And then the dam just broke.
It was unbelievable. Goal after goal after goal. 23rd minute, Klose,
Yeah.
2-0. Pokes in a rebound. His record-breaking 16th World Cup goal. Almost no celebration.
24th minute, Kroos, 3-0.
26th minute, Kroos again, 4-0.
29th minute, Khedira, 5-0.
5 goals. In 18 minutes, 4 of them in just 6 minutes, it defied belief. Each goal more bewildering than the last. And the German celebrations got quieter, almost apologetic.
Yeah, they stopped running to the corner, just turned back, looking stunned themselves, almost embarrassed.
And the crowd, just silence.
Weary silence. Children crying, adults staring blankly, commentators choking on their words. What are we watching? This isn't football anymore.
Halftime, 5-0. Players walking off. Brazil shattered. Germany almost sheepish. And there's still a whole second half to play.
The second half was surreal. Schürrle came on and scored in the 69th minute, 6-0.
And then scored again in the 79th.
Yeah.
That rocket into the top corner. Beautiful, violent, almost unnecessary. 7-0.
Oscar got one back for Brazil in the 90th minute. 7-1. No celebration, obviously. Just the end of the nightmare.
Whistle blows. Germany doesn't cheer wildly. They comfort the Brazilians, shake hands, walk off quietly.
They knew what this was. Not just a win. It was a wound inflicted on a nation. Silence around the world, then disbelief, then those headlines. Humiliation, collapse, 7-1. No analysis could truly explain it. It wasn't just a semifinal. It shook the soul of Brazilian football. And Germany walked away. One game left to play.
It's strange, isn't it? You can almost win two completely. The celebration turns quiet. Empathy creeps in.
Exactly. After the whistle, the cameras lingered on the faces in the crowd. Tears, stunned silence. It wasn't just losing a game. It felt like part of their identity was unraveling.
The headlines the next day, Maracanazo reborn. New national trauma. Commentators tried to explain tactics, Neymar's absence, the pressure, but nothing really made sense of the emotional earthquake.
And Germany's reaction was telling. No real celebration. Müller gave brief interviews. Schürrle was quiet. Löw stood with arms folded, jaw tight. It wasn't joy, it was duty completed, but with empathy.
The locker room must have been strange. Respectful silence.
You imagine so? They'd done what they came to do, ruthlessly, but it left even the victors feeling uncomfortable. Lahm's quote was perfect. We didn't want to humiliate them, we just kept playing.
Even the German papers the next morning were careful, weren't they? Not gloating.
A recognition, even in their greatest triumph, perhaps, that sometimes football spills over, becomes too much, leaves even the winner with an 8.
Brazil's reaction shifted from grief to anger eventually. Coach resigned, soul-searching.
Yes, but amidst that, there is also that strange grace from some Brazilians. If we had to lose like this, at least it was to Germany. Because Germany hadn't taunted them, hadn't danced on their grave, they just scored, stopped, and left with respect.
So just the final remained. Argentina waiting. Another giant, another potential wound.
But this time you felt there would be no collapse. Only one team could rise from that semifinal.
The final. July 13th, Americana. All the beauty, all the dominance. It means nothing without finishing the story, right?
Absolutely, this was it. Under the shadow of Christ the Redeemer, Germany had to prove it. Germany versus Argentina.
Argentina steel, resilience, and Messi carrying the hopes of a nation, the heir to Maradona. They didn't concede many goals, did they? Didn't dazzle, just denied opponents.
Their game plan was clear. Keep it tight, slow it down, suffocate Germany, wait for that one moment of magic or mistake.
Germany wanted movement, space, clarity. But finals are often grind, not dream logic.
And it played out that way. Early chances. Higuain had that gift from Kroos' mistake, dragged it wide. Huge let-off for Germany.
He scored later, but was offside. Another deep breath for the Germans.
Germany created half chances, but couldn't break through Argentina's solid defense. It was tense, cagey.
And Schweinsteiger was immense again, wasn't he? Everywhere.
Intercepting, driving forward, absorbing brutal tackles. Got that cut under his eye, stitched up on the sideline, came straight back on, bleeding for the cause. A symbol of their resilience.
And near the end of normal time, Messi broke through.
One-on-one chance, left foot, drifted just wide. The whole stadium gasped. So close. 90 minutes gone. 0-0.
Extra time. The tension must have been unbearable. Löw looked calm. Argentina's coach, Sabella, frantic. The world waiting. Something had to give.
But you felt it wouldn't be tactics or power that decided it now. It would be will, a moment of brilliance, or maybe exhaustion.
And substitutions often change history in moments like these, don't they?
They absolutely can. And one man who hadn't had the starring role he might have expected was about to step up.
113th minute. Legs are heavy. Minds are tired. Hearts are in throats everywhere. Messi walking. Schweinsteiger bandaged. Neuer playing high. The clock ticking down.
Germany have the ball on the left, deep in Argentina's half. A throw-in. Löw signals from the bench. Stay calm.
Andre Schürrle gets it. The substitute. Fast, direct.
He just takes off. Past one defender, then another. Drives towards the byline. Looks up, lifts the cross. High, curved, hanging in the air.
And Mario Götze arrives. The golden boy. Lost his starting place. Benched for much of the knockouts. Could have sulked, but he waited.
Slips between the defenders, that control on his chest. Soft as a feather, calm as a prayer.
And the volley. Left foot. Across the keeper, into the far corner. Net ripples.
Goal. 113 minutes gone. Germany 1-0. The Amerikanon just explodes. Löw leaps, Klose screams. Schweinsteiger stumbles to his knees. Götze runs, eyes wide. Müller catches him. The bench empties. Pandemonium.
It wasn't just a goal, was it? It was the release. A decade of near misses, doubts, pressure, waiting. Gone in an instant.
From an unexpected hero in a moment of pure beauty in a game of endurance. Perfect.
Argentina tried to respond. Messi had that free kick right at the end of stoppage time.
Sailed over the bar, head down, shoulders heavy. You knew that was it.
Whistle blows. Germany, world champions, fourth star. The wait is over. The story complete. Started in the ashes of Euro 2000, finished in glory in Rio.
And the defining moment. Not thunder, not force. A whisper, a chest, a volley, a moment frozen forever.
We have to talk more about Schweinsteiger in that final. Legends often forget the bruises, the pain afterwards. But his face told the story.
It really did. Extra time, Rio. Schweinsteiger on the halfway line, breathing hard, probably trembling with exhaustion, shirt soaked.
Then Aguero's elbow catches him. Blood pouring from under his eye. A nasty gash.
Physios rush on, but he just waves them away. I'm fine, let me play. Refuses to come off.
Stitches up on the sideline, comes straight back on, tackling, pressing, rallying the troops. Gets kicked again, collapses, gets up again, and again.
By the end of 120 minutes, he's got a black eye, torn socks, cramping legs. Looks like he's got absolutely nothing left in the tank. But he finishes on his feet.
And when the final whistle blows, he drops to his knees. Not celebration, just pure relief.
Müller grabs him, Lahm pulls him up, and he smiles. That exhausted, battered, utterly satisfied smile. He gave everything, and this time, finally, it was enough.
That image went around the world, didn't it? Blood, bruises, pride. A new face for German football. Human, vulnerable, resilient. Not just stoic or mechanical.
Victory belongs to the one who suffers and keeps going. And in Rio that night, that was Bastian Schweinsteiger.
So the final whistle echoes. It's not just the end of a game, it's lifting the weight of almost every nearly.
Players collapsing, coaches embracing, Gutsum mobbed, Neuer roaring, Schweinsteiger looking skyward. And in the stands, tears of joy, relief, history washing over everyone.
Back in Germany, midnight strikes, nobody sleeps.
Streets flooding with people, Hamburg to Munich, everywhere black, red, gold spills out, horns blaring, flags waving, pure joy, no anger.
Berlin, Potsdamer Platz. Brandenburg gates, just a sea of light. Tens, hundreds of thousands chanting Super Deutschland, Weltmeister.
This time, no buts, no if-onlys, just yes. It happened. They earned it.
The locker room must have been electric. Phone calls home, photos, beer.
Neuer with the golden glove, Müller the silver boot, Klose's legacy cemented, and Lahm lifting that trophy. The fourth star was coming.
And the flight home, the Von Hansa Siegerflieger.
The winner's flight, yeah. Landing in Berlin to that hero's welcome. Brandenburg Gate again, balconies packed, hundreds of thousands below, music, laughter, speeches, Müller being goofy, Schweinsteiger with wet eyes, Löw finally looking relaxed.
Lahm holds the trophy high, Germany roars. But underneath all that noise, there's reflection, isn't there? 4 tournaments, doubt, reforms, rebuilds, missed chances, blood, sweat. And finally, Götze's goal.
It wasn't just a World Cup won, it was a project completed. A generation's mission fulfilled.
And the victory wasn't just about the trophy, was it? It validated that whole 14-year experiment. Identity, culture, courage.
Schweinsteiger lifting that trophy was the evidence. The failure of 2000 meant something. The blueprints led somewhere loud. Patience paid off.
It validated the whole system, right? The DFB's investment in youth, coaching, data.
Every single starter in that final came through the reform system. They were built, not bought. Neuer, the modern keeper, Lahm, the inverted fullback midfielder, Kroos and Khedira, the metronomes, Müller and Götze, unpredictable, Boateng and Hummels, composed. It wasn't an accident, it was engineered, but with soul.
And the culture shift? The diverse squad being embraced.
That new German identity, Turkish, Ghanaian, Tunisian, Polish heritage, all represented. Özil was a key part of that. Fans embraced it. The old debates faded. What the shirt meant had changed. Multiculturalism mattered.
Tactically, they set a benchmark too, didn't they?
Not revolutionary, maybe, but the perfect balance.
Yeah.
They had elements of Spain's pressing, Italy's structure, the Netherlands' transition game, South American grit, and German efficiency. Teams looked at them as the template. Coaches studied, youth players copied, analysts modeled, setting trends, not just following.
And the human factor. The narrative shifted from machine to something more vulnerable, creative, expressive.
Exactly. The jokes, the smiles, the flaws, Schweinsteiger's battered face, Müller's goofy runs, Neuer's sweeping, Götze's touch. There was emotion. It changed how people felt about German football.
But success creates its own pressure, doesn't it? The burden of being the benchmark.
Absolutely. What worked once, could they do it again? The second act always brings different questions, fewer easy answers. But that was for later.
For now, Germany wasn't just World Cup champion, it was reborn.
And that legacy, it wasn't just about the result, it was how they did it. Youth, patience, structure, joy, pride without arrogance. They earned the world's respect.
For Germany, it meant closure. 4 stars, a new golden generation, a country that felt modernized, integrated, rebuilt, a team people actually liked.
And for football globally, it set a standard. The 7-1 was maybe impossible to replicate, but the process wasn't. That blueprint, invest, trust youth, blend data and soul, reflect your culture. Clubs and federations studied it, coaches cited it, kids mimicked Müller.
But legacies aren't static, are they? 2014 was a high point, but also cast a long shadow.
Expectations soared. Germany struggled in 2018. Ideas were questioned. Stars faded. But the legacy itself held in the classrooms, the academies, in the memory of Schweinsteiger's resilience, Götz's volley, Neuer's charge, Lahm's quiet lift. It was never just about football. It was about becoming something.
A reminder that greatness is possible, joy can be methodical, and patient courage makes history. Every generation can rise again.
And the immediate reaction on the streets in Germany was incredible, wasn't it? Those moments when flags mean togetherness, not division. Germany waved them with pure joy.
Berlin the morning after. City lit from within. No sleep anywhere. Every city, village, block Germany was awake.
Potsdamer Platz to Kreuzberg in Berlin, Frankfurt's riverbanks, Cologne's bridges, cars honking, people dancing, flags waving. Unity, not uniformity. Turkish-German kids shouting Götz's name, grandparents crying, LGBTQ plus fans celebrating, families singing in dialect. It wasn't nationalism, it was belonging.
And the team's arrival back home, the Siegerflagger landing.
Gladiators emerging, grins, hugs, quiet disbelief. Riding through streets lined with thousands, banners saying, Danke fans, thank you fans.
Culminating at the Brandenburg Gate. That sea of flags, the wave of chants, hundreds of thousands singing, shouting, a memory etched forever.
Players on stage, Schweinsteiger showing his scars, Müller goofing around, Klose quiet, Özil shy but proud, Götze lifting the trophy again. Berlin just vibrated. No violence, no bitterness, just euphoria. The country breathed out. Together.
For many, it felt like the first time they could be proud without that historical tension, right? Not just because they were German, but because they'd watched something beautiful together.
And the global headlines reflected that sense of deservedness, didn't they? It wasn't just that Germany won, it was how they won.
Yeah, as the sun set on the Americanon, newsrooms everywhere were typing. Germany. Flawless and frightening, said The Guardian.
L'Equipe in France called it art and science. Gazzetta in Italy. Efficient but brave, poetic. Even O Globo in Brazil. Destroyed us, but we admire them.
BBC called them the most complete team. Marcus in Spain said the torch passed. Even Argentina showed respect. Beat us clean, better side, no shame.
It was more than respect, it was acknowledgement. This wasn't about one star carrying the team. It was about the movement, the structure, those shared moments. Neuer's feet, Lahm in midfield, Kroos's passing, Müller's riddle, Schweinsteiger's blood, Götz's touch.
Other teams might have been brilliant or romantic, but Germany in 2014 felt whole. And people noticed. Casual fans learned names. Coaches showed clips. Kids mimicked Müller. Not the machine anymore, but a model.
Yeah.
Built over time, invested in, trusted. The world thought, maybe we could build like that.
It wouldn't last forever, that feeling. But in those days, right after the final, there was no resentment, no scandal, no real what-ifs, just the sense that was football at its best.
And Brazil's reaction. Building the stage, inviting the world, watching the dream dissolve like that. The grief, but also that quiet grace you mentioned.
That night of the 7-1 wasn't just a loss. It felt like a national event, a collapse felt by everyone who believed. The silence the morning after was heavy, softer than disbelief, flags limp, commentary philosophical. Just pain, like a slow song.
TV coverage focused on the faces. The boy crying, the elderly fan with an old photo, the father explaining the inexplicable. Grief about identity. Losing like that at home. It reopened the Maracanazo wound from 1950. Now they had them in Arasso too.
But as days passed, something else emerged. Not rage, but grace. Editorials, interviews saying, lost to something greater, we must learn. No blaming the ref, no rioting. They looked inward and outward.
And the German social media messages helped. Thank you, Brazil, for the warmth. Sorry it happened this way.
Combined with Brazil's response, yeah. Not spite, but eventually music, laughter, smiles returned. At the final, many Brazilians wore German shirts, applauded Germany. Not forgetting, but respecting. Acknowledging the better side while still loving the game. That's hard, but they did it.
Years later, 7-1 is a meme, a nightmare number. But for those there, a lesson.
Greatness and grace don't need the same jersey to share the field. A powerful lesson.
So, after Rio, the world didn't just move on. That 2014 German team left an echo, didn't it? A new benchmark.
Definitely. Once you see football played like that, the cohesion, the intelligence, the balance, you don't forget it. You chase it, you copy it. Sometimes you fail trying.
Tactically, other nations took notes.
Absolutely. Analysts replayed sequences, clubs asked how to build that system. Germany's template marrying high press with control, possession with urgency, fluid roles with structure, youth with maturity, risk with restraint that felt like the future. The 4-2-3-1, the way they played it, became aspirational.
And Löw's coaching influenced others.
Hugely. Using Lahm in midfield sparked debates globally. His trust in youth, not out of desperation but development, became a case study. Coaches adapted, training changed, academies shifted focus intelligence over just physicality.
And the mental side, too, rebuilding over a decade.
Showed success could come from failing, learning, waiting. They didn't fire Löw after near misses. Trust the process wasn't just a slogan, it was Germany's path. That resonated.
It changed the aesthetic, too, didn't it? Not just efficient, but expressive, inventive.
They didn't lose their identity, they evolved it. It became cool to wear the German kit, thrilling to watch them play. Even neutrals admired them.
But being the benchmark is also a burden, right?
Yeah.
Legacy creates pressure.
Every team compared to 2014 Germany and Germany compared to itself. Could they repeat it? Was it the golden generation or the system? It defined their future, but also haunted their next few tournaments.
Still, in that immediate aftermath, the echo was clear. This is what happens when a nation commits to football as an idea, not just a result.
And the world listened.
And Löw himself, the architect. His journey continued, but it wasn't always straightforward after 2014.
He reached the absolute summit, delivered on all those quiet promises, identity, youth, beauty, and the trophy. Most coaches might have stopped there, but Löw stayed. Believed in cycles, thought he could do it again.
And initially, it wasn't abject failure. Euro 2016 semifinal, won the 2017 Confederations Cup with a B team.
Signs of strength were still there. More trophies, records, faith remained relatively high.
But then came the crash. Russia 2018. Defending champions, out in the group stage. Historic low.
Losses to Mexico, South Korea. No rhythm, no leadership, no answers. Players looked lost. The system stale. Löw seemed tired. Critics asked if he'd stayed too long, trusted the old guard too much, if the world had figured out his style.
He didn't resign then, though. Insisted on rebuilding again.
Tried to. Phased out some veterans, brought in new faces, rethought the press, revised formations. But that spark, that magic from 2010 to 2014, it just never fully returned. The ideas were still intelligent, but the collective chemistry seemed gone.
Euro 2020, played in 2021, losing to England in the round of 16. That was the end for him.
Finally stepped down. His farewell was quiet, no parades or drama, but there's deep respect there, surely. Took over a broken system, modernized it, won the ultimate prize, stood by his principles even when things got tough.
Not many coaches last 15 years internationally, shaping a nation's footballing identity like that.
He did both. For all the later criticisms, Joachim Löw gave Germany arguably the best version of itself it had ever seen.
And that dream, the dream of 2014, it held for a while, didn't it? But the years that followed were tougher.
The glow lasted. In conversations, chants, young players' admiration, clubs invested, youth development remained strong. Germany was the model others tried to follow. They became what they once envied, admired, modern.
But time doesn't stop. Football moves on. The press demands. Fans get impatient. Dreams are hardest to protect after they come true.
Germany kept trying to repeat it. Entered tournaments as favorites, built new squads, tried new ideas, but the rhythm was never quite the same.
So, 2016 semifinal, 2017 Confed Cup win. Signs of strength. Then 2018 fell apart. Group exit. Turning point. 2021 Euros round of 16 exit. 2022 Qatar, another group exit.
The golden generation retired or faded. The system wasn't new anymore. And those questions came back, echoing 2000. Who are we now? What is German football?
But through all that, 2014 endures, doesn't it? Not as a burden, maybe, but as that reminder. It can be done. Greatness built patiently exists. Football can lift belief, not just trophies.
Exactly. Today, kids in academies still study that team. They talk about Götze, Schweinsteiger, Neuer, Müller, Kroos. It's not just a team, it's a story. And good stories don't fade easily. Germany might rise again, it might take time, but the dream of 2014, the system, the soul, the silence after the goal that lives on, In memory, in replays, in whispers, in the quiet belief it will happen again.
It's worth briefly touching on some of those key faces again, the 11 who started that final, plus the crucial subs. Neuer, we talked about him redefining the position. That Algeria game.
Incredible. Sweeping 30 yards out, it wasn't a fluke, it was by design. He wasn't just a shot stopper, he was a conductor, a risk taker, a philosophy almost. FIFA's Best Goalkeeper award almost felt too small for his impact that year.
And Lahm, the captain who didn't need to shout, just calibrate everything.
The pulse of the team, always where he needed to be, thinking ahead. Perfect symbol of the transformation, tactically fluent, calm, drifting between roles. Led with humility, retired right at the top. Knew when the work was done.
Jerome Boateng. Strength, timing, and that redemption in the final.
Yeah, he'd faced criticism before, but in 2014, especially that final against Messi, he was focused, mature, immense. That goal line clearance against Higuain, crucial, often forgotten. He made a statement, "Remember me like this."
Mats Hummels alongside him. Composure, clarity, and that vital goal against France.
The thinking defender. Elegant, read the game beautifully, stabilized everything. That header against France was pure class, the culmination of his tournament. Great defenders are measured by what doesn't happen because they were there. Hummels was always there.
And Benedict Coates, the man for every gap, played left back every single minute.
The ultimate reliable pro. Not flashy, but did exactly what was needed wherever it was needed. Didn't just cover the position, inhabited it. Held the team together in his own quiet way. You win tournaments with players like Coates.
Bastian Schweinsteiger. We've covered his final performance, blood, will, the beating heart.
Waited over a decade for that moment. Carried everything left in the tank. Not elegant in that final, just necessary. Survived it. Gave them the spine, the courage. The image of his battered face is the price of glory.
Christoph Kramer, the boy who forgot the final. Such a strange, sad story.
Thrown in last minute due to Khedira's injury, then that awful collision. Asking the ref, is this the final? Chilling. A reminder of that fine line between triumph and trauma. Part of the story, even if he doesn't remember it.
Toni Kroos. Cold vision, quiet domination. The metronome.
Never panicked, created space, controlled tempo. Lethal against Brazil. Always correct, always seeing the next pass. Joined Real Madrid right after, became a serial winner. 2014 was maybe the purest Kroos.
Mesut Ozil. The quiet thread between the lines. Always scrutinized, but Löw trusted him.
Disappeared into the rhythm, found space nobody else saw, made passes that invited teammates forward. Not a tackler, but stitched the game together with angles, movement, and a symbol of that new, diverse Germany.
Thomas Müller. The unreadable force. The Raumdeuter.
Football's glitch. 5 goals, including that hat-trick against Portugal. Always there, just outside the frame, until suddenly he wasn't and the ball was in the net. Confused defenders just by existing. Not the headline in the final, but in every sentence.
And Miroslav Klose. The quiet finisher who became the all-time World Cup top scorer.
Never flashy, just clinical. 36 years old, servant to the system, tapped in goal 15 against Ghana, scored number 16 against Brazil, record broken, humble, unshakable. Subbed off for Gets in the final, sat watching, smiling, role done. Retired quietly, just needed to be there when it mattered. Always was.
And beyond the players on the pitch, there were those unsung pillars, weren't there? Like Hansi Flick and the coaching corps.
Absolutely. Flick, Löw's assistant, was crucial. The bridge between vision and execution. Not loud, but essential in training, planning, managing crises. Kept the harmony, reminded them after the 7-1 the job wasn't done. You saw his quality later as a head coach himself.
And Sami Khedira. His absence in the final was felt, but his contribution before that was immense.
Fought back from that ACL injury, became the midfield heartbeat. Ran for Kroos, fought for Schweinsteiger, scored against Brazil. That warm-up injury was heartbreaking, but he stayed positive, cheered them on. His presence throughout the tournament was unforgettable.
Per Mertesacker, too. The veteran voice, maybe not always starting later on, but crucial.
Positionally brilliant, composed. And that post-Algeria interview, what do you want? Beautiful football and go out again. Raw honesty. Said what the team felt. A leader, even from the sidelines.
And the 2 substitutes who combined for the ultimate moment. Götze and Schürrle.
Götze, the prodigy who'd lost his starting place. Benched, waited, then lose words. Show world you're better than Messi. And he delivered. Chest, volley, immortality. Career after had struggles, but that moment, perfect.
And Schürrle, the super sub who made the run, delivered the cross.
Direct, honest, energetic. 3 goals earlier, then that driving run in the 113th minute. Shrugged off a challenge, perfect cross. He gave Götze the chance, became part of history himself.
And finally, Lukas Podolski. Didn't play much, but brought the spirit.
The heartbeat of the locker room, bridged generations, kept things light, always smiling, laughing. That viral Siebni post after the Brazil game captured the joy. Every team needs a Podolski. Joy is contagious.
Wow, what a journey. From the absolute depths of Euro 2000, the national footballing crisis, all the way to the Americana in 2014, lifting the World Cup. It really is an incredible story of rebuilding, rethinking, and ultimately redemption.
It truly is. We've traced it all: the sweeping reforms, the emergence of that golden generation nurtured by the new system, the tactical evolution under Klinsmann, and then Löw. It wasn't overnight. It was over a decade of work, setbacks, and growing belief.
And thinking about the key figures, Lahm's quiet leadership, Schweinsteiger's sheer will, Neuer revolutionizing goalkeeping, Müller's unique genius, Götze's final touch. It took all of them, plus so many others, working together. I hope for you listening, those aha moments about how they reinvented German football really came through.
Definitely. The big takeaways for me are about that power of systemic change, not just tinkering around the edges, embracing diversity as a strength, finding that blend of tactical innovation and unwavering spirit,
Yeah.
and just the sheer resilience needed to overcome setbacks, learn from failure, and stick to a long-term vision.
It makes you think, doesn't it? What parts of that journey resonate most with you listening? Can you see parallels elsewhere, maybe in business, science, art, or even just in personal goals, where that kind of reinvention and sheer perseverance paid off?
And that final thought: what does it really mean for a group, a nation, to remember who it was in order to move forward? For Germany, was that history, that weight of past glory, a burden holding them back? Or was it actually the catalyst they needed to force that transformation? Something to really mull over: the complex dance between identity, innovation, and the long-term vision needed to build something truly lasting.